Hi, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Domains. Dad has gone to get a snack, but he will be back. And unfortunately, whatever lagging situation caused me to lag a while ago is back on. So I'm so sorry you'll have to deal with that on my end. Just imagine I'm moving faster than I am.
I got a great idea, Julie.
What up?
Tonight, we will be featuring translation for the hearing impaired.
Captions? Sign language?
You got me?
Sign language?
Yeah.
Okay. A, I'm not good. B, it's my video that's the problem.
So if I said, can you sign language? Domain names are awesome. What do you have for me?
Well, probably like internet names are awesome.
There
Maybe.
you go.
Again, the issue is y'all can't see me right.
This is still the first time that we have put domain names are awesome in sign language on the interweb.
Yeah, really. Are there any big domain name creators that are deaf? Well, first of all, that means we should add captions. Which I hope we already
I hear that's trendy on the whole TikToker thing.
Sign language?
Well, no, captioned.
Oh, captions, yes, absolutely. And it makes it more accessible. And I think people like being able to read as they're talking because it helps keep their attention span, in my personal opinion.
And I also said to someone the other day that people read videos.
What do you mean?
So like if you're at the gym, even if you don't have your headphones on, you're watching a video, but you may not be able to listen to it. So you're really reading it, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, I remember whenever TikTok was like getting bigger. Now I take my headphones with me everywhere because I listen to audiobooks a lot. But I would like be in the doctor's office sitting, waiting my turn, and I was wanting to watch TikTok, and I'd have to watch it with the volume all the way down. So then I would just watch the captions.
Right. So I'm going to put on the sharing. I'm sharing the space. I'm going to put free appraisals tonight. So hopefully people can submit their names, Julie, and then you can be like Vanna White. You can present the name to me for appraisal, and then I'll present the next one to you, et cetera, et cetera.
I love it. And while we're at it, I am going to go retweet and repost the space. We would love if you friends could go in and retweet and repost the space. Because then we get more information, more knowledge, more questions, super exciting stuff. And who doesn't want that?
That's right.
There we go. So there's a reminder. We are on Page House, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter.
Yep.
And then we're on Free Names YouTube live. So yeah, that's super exciting. So what's going on in the domain world? I know last week we were talking a little bit about the stock market, how that affected domains. I think that's starting to stabilize a little bit. I don't know. I checked my Roth IRA. I was alive again.
The whole world changed quite a bit in a week. A week ago on Sunday, we were in a really illiquid time. People are spending time with family, everything, and all of a sudden the market was crashing and there was nobody to hold it up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so you had a lot of crypto coins dropping 10 and 20%, afraid of what was going to happen on Monday. And when the stock market's not open and your bank's not open, a lot of times the only way you can get money is selling what you can sell. So they were going to crypto to just sell, to move their money into what's called USDT, or crypto, but not volatile crypto. And the only thing you could do if you were worried about Monday was sell on Sunday, and the only thing you could sell was crypto.
I see. So that's the only thing that we weren't waiting for the market to open, because crypto is open 24/7, which is the fun thing about it.
Right, except if there's not a lot of players. And this is true of any asset. Like if you were selling a house, in my neighborhood here in Tennessee, and normally it would trade for 300,000. And someone said, "Hey, we're going to have an auction for this house on Christmas at 4:30 in the morning."
I see. When there's no one there
We're
to
not
buy
gonna
it.
have, and we're not going to have any reserve. We're going to start the bidding at $1,000, right? And then you had 6 people show up, and they looked around and said, "Well, listen, I'm not going to bid if you don't bid. I'm not going to bid if you don't bid." And that house could sell for $100,000. You know what I mean? So I think that that's in an exaggerated sense of what happened. So then the markets opened last Monday. They went up, they went down. Then the rest of the week, Trump said he was pausing his tariffs, but he wasn't really. But he was, but he wasn't really. And then people kind of just figured out, and this is what I have to tell everybody out there tonight, business is risky. The days of knowing exactly what's going to happen in the future are over. And if someone tells you they know exactly what's going to happen in the future, they're probably wrong, or they're selling you something.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And so because of that, at a time like this, now that it's a week later and you're not buying or selling on emotion, meaning people were buying stocks like, "Oh man, I wanted to buy for so long, and now that they've dropped, I'm going to be one of those people who said they bought at the bottom," you know. Or people are like, if they borrowed to buy stocks, then they have to pay back their loans. They're in trouble. But now we're a week later, and you really have to think, what do I want to do? Not what am I reacting?
You're not panic buying anymore.
Or panic selling or doing something impulsively off a reaction. But what do you really want to do? So it's a different role. But Julie, as we're gaining our people in here, and then we will have some domains that people are going to submit, and I'll talk about them. I wanted to talk to you about marketing, since you're doing a lot of marketing.
I know about this sometimes. Sometimes I have a brain in that.
Domain Shane, DSAD, which is one of the best blogs in the business, he posted an article from a guy named Andrew Chen. Andrew is a pretty popular marketing guy. He's got a little Substack, and he's got a couple 100,000 followers.
Oh, wow.
And he said, this was his title: "Every marketing channel sucks right now. I'm about to roast every tactic you're betting on."
Well, that's humbling.
You ready? SEO. And these are all the tactics that have robbed value from people just buying a good domain and building a good company on it. And this is what we've had to compete with for 20 years. And now that there's finally some chinks in the armor, I think it proves well for people considering what owning a domain name asset might do for them. But here's what he says. SEO. It takes too long. You're competing against listicles and Reddit threads. Google could screw you over at any moment. Maybe AI will kill your traffic next year. All right. Influencer marketing. You get a big spike of traffic, but no one converts. The spike goes away. Big creators are too expensive, and a slew of small creators needs to be cobbled together. Lots of babysitting. Press release. Doesn't generate signups, doesn't scale, expensive retainers. Email marketing. Hope you like spam folders. Building a good list takes forever. Open rates are down. Viral loops. Oh, you actually have a great product? All the spamming techniques don't work. Your UX will be ruined by aggressive pop-ups and onboarding. Ads, way too expensive. Referral, affiliate. Be ready for a crazy amount of fraud. Big launch on social. It'll only happen once. But anyway, he goes through and he talks about the law of shitty click-throughs. And what he comes up with is, don't focus on big channels, focus on little channels, which I thought was good. Don't worry about scaling, get your product with a good community early. Your product is brand new. I like this one. So your marketing can be brand new as well.
I like that one too.
And then he gets to the end and he says, I have bad news. Your product actually has to be very good. I wish we lived in a world where you could have amazing marketing and growth strategies and a stinky product and you would win. But then marketers would run tech and they don't. A great marketing strategy, I'll finish with this, is a multiplier effect on your inherent product quality. What do you think?
Yeah. I think that dates back to what we said 2 years ago when we started working with .cfd. It's that you have to be authentic, and especially because of social media and the internet, as soon as you're inauthentic and as soon as you're putting out these products that are not good, people are going to call you out on it, and they have larger, easier platforms where negative word can spread. So I think—
Boy, that's a great point, Julie. That's a great point that it's hard to organically spread positive word, but negative word, you couldn't pay, right? You couldn't pay for the speed that a negative spin on your product grows, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. And it's, I mean, and the bigger you are and the more money you put into marketing and all that stuff, the larger you're at to just drop. I mean, you think about Shein, okay, who makes a lot of money, sells a lot of clothes. Their profits have been down because instantly right now, if I tell you I bought something from Shein, I sound bad. And if I put it on the internet, I'll get canceled. And so no one can promote it. But then also product quality isn't good. And it's known now that product quality isn't going to be good. So people are not going to Shein.
Right. And what would be authentic is if you actually did buy something and it actually worked out. And then you said, I don't even tell anyone that I bought it on this site because it actually worked. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
And then you also look at how he was talking about influencer marketing, because the issue right now is everything is oversaturated, and so it's kind of fake. All aspects of marketing right now are so oversaturated because we're at a place where everyone has access to the internet. Everyone's wanting to be an entrepreneur. Everyone wants to start their own thing. So everything's oversaturated. But if you actually have a good product, you're going to get people who are giving you more than what you pay for, and authentic, real feedback, and authentic, real promotion where it's word of mouth. So like, there's this Etsy company that I really like. Their name is House of Monogram, and I really like their jewelry. So I wear their jewelry all the time, and people ask me where I get it, and I say House of Monogram. And if anyone ever needs to talk about where to get jewelry that won't fade, I send them to the site. That's completely free.
And what is their site?
houseofmonogram.com. But it's not house.
But
it's not house. It's HAUS of Monogram.
Gotcha.
And that's an issue because they go to find it and it's hard.
Or if someone hears you on a podcast, they hear House of Monogram.
Yeah. And they're a smaller company, so they don't necessarily have the SEO optimization. They actually just got a proper website in the past year, because I actually reached out to them. I was like, hey, I actually love your company. Can we get you on a CFD? And they said they weren't looking to expand into that right then, but I guess they did because they are a great company. And
see, I think that's a company that would really have to potentially consider having the correct spelling House of Monogram, even if it was on a .shop or something, you know what I mean? And just because of how now their branding people would say, no, we have to stick to our brand. We have to stick to our brand. We have to stick to our brand. But if you're losing people, all the time, then,
so
that's
luckily, whenever I Googled House of Monogram, this mainly because it's in my Google history, but it said including results for HAUS of Monogram, and that was the first one that pulled up. But then it also pulled up a competitor who is House of Monogram with the real HAUS of Monogram PH. So that's interesting, because then if I just search up HAUS of Monogram correctly spelled, then it's all that proper brand.
And you're putting your hands in Google's hands to hope that they continue doing that, or it's based upon you buying ads. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying that's bad. You're a big company out there. You got the money, do it. But
No,
this other way, yeah, is to own your own domain, build your own house, you know, and then you set the rules.
Yeah. Well, especially whenever their thing is monogram, so it's literally names. I don't know. That's interesting. I know.
Yeah.
I tried to get them on the CFD game a while because they were a small company that was only on Etsy, and I really loved their product. I still love their product. I actually bought a ring from there recently.
Wow.
So, not when anyone else is here to listen to it, but if anyone wants the best pair of earrings that you're gonna find that you can wear in the shower and they never fade, House of Monogram, and they're like $20, $30. Whereas if you normally get like a gold filled piece of jewelry, it's like $100+.
So shower earrings. There you go. .com.
Showerearrings.com. If that someone needs to get on that because every single listen, I have a thing. Right now, gold jewelry is trending, and I think because everyone's either a gold jewelry girl or a silver jewelry girl, and us gold jewelry girls have to struggle because we can't get cheap. Like if you're a silver jewelry girl, then you get like stainless steel or titanium, and it's pretty cheap and it doesn't change. But if you want gold, you have to have the expensive gold fills. Otherwise, you wear it in the shower twice and it turns green.
That's terrible.
You guys don't understand because then if you take it off to shower to take care of your jewelry, A, that's another step. B, it's going down the sink drain. There's nothing I can do about that.
Hey, Julie, you are a little bit of lag. I wonder if you could maybe close some of your windows. Do you have any other windows open?
I have not a single window open.
Wow. Okay. You're really rocking tonight. So
Sorry.
What's going on? Let's see. We got a couple suggestions here. ETHability.com. ETHability.org is the username. He's got ETHability.com. This is a lot of what I talked about in my latest free name video, which is you take a word like ETH for Ethereum, and then you add a suffix to it where people know that you're doing something about Ethereum if they're in the market. So then you have ETHability, and it's not as much the word ability as the suffix ETHability, you know what I mean, that you can do things with this. Now, you're going to compete against ETHville, ETH Purpose, Ethology, you know, a lot of other ones. So you're going to have to hope to someone wants yours. So your best job is to decide how long you can afford to renew it and hope someone gets it. I would probably price it around $4,000 to $5,000 because if someone does like it, you might as well get a big price. But I would make offer on it also because you may decide if someone just kind of likes it for $1,000 that you want to sell it to them. But there's a chance it won't sell in 5 years, even though it's a good domain. And that's just where we are. Even if you have a good domain and it could sell, and none of us would be surprised if there was a message on Twitter tomorrow that said ETHability.com sold for $5,000. What there's not on Twitter tomorrow or on X is a message that says these 149,999 names did not sell just now.
Yeah.
So we only see what's sold. We don't see that 149 million names did not sell today.
I like the name. Just on first hearing, I'm like, oh, it's a fun, cutesy little name. It is about ETH. And then if ETH ever does go out of trend or whatever, if that, people aren't in the crypto universe and don't want to be in the crypto universe, you have ethos, you have ethics, you have a few other variations.
Thanks, luxury brand. He says sounds clear on my end. So ETHability, I think I like the fact that you have the org because you can build value for the word.com, but you can still sign up for different sites with the .org. So if you sell it, you're not like, oh my gosh, I got to go through and find all the logins that I ever did with ETHability.com. And then, and then when you sell the name, then you're not going to get emails to that name anymore, things like that. Sometimes you can work out a deal with the buyer and say, could you forward to me, say I had Paige at ETHability.com. You can sometimes say, hey, could you, for the next year, forward back to me any emails that come in to Paige at ETHability.com. But the idea that you're using the .org to still build value for the word keep the org for you, sell the more expensive asset, the .com.
I like it. All right.
All right. We got
BTC financing.
Yeah, so the dash is interesting. Most traditional domainers would say don't buy a dash. And at the same point, every month, lots of good dash domains sell. And here's a couple of reasons. The rumor is that was 20 years ago, people said that Germans love hyphenated domain names. I don't know if anyone has any proof, but that rumor has consistently stayed alive for 20 years. So if whoever you're talking to is like AI and they have all the articles, they'll say, oh, Germans love hyphenated domain names. The reason I think hyphenated domain names sell, in my opinion, is that most of the search engines like Google and things like that, they don't distinguish between them. And when you search for a name at GoDaddy, it's very easy for them. If you typed in btcfinancing.com with no dash, it's very easy for them if they have the one with a dash in their memory, in their afternic system. Yeah. It's very easy to show that because it's the exact match from what someone wanted. It just has a dash. Yeah. So since the beginning of domaining back in 2000, when people have said your name's taken, here's a suggestion, the dashes have been the first thing because it was just so easy to do. Take the word that the person wanted and put a dash on it, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a buyer, you may say, oh, that's exactly what I want. So that it accomplishes the task. The hard part is the radio test. It's hard to say dash or hyphen in a podcast. 2 is when you're on your phone, sometimes you have to go from the alphanumeric keyboard, switch to the number, get the dash, then go back. But then other people would say no one types in domain names anymore. They just click it. You know what I mean? So if your Google search results have it, or if you text it to someone, they just click it. They don't have to type it. So I think it's okay to have some. It's all about what works for you. But if you're going to spend $10 or $12 a year for 5 years on this name, that's $60. I would say you probably have a 5 to 10% chance of it selling, and I would price it about $7,000. Just because if you are going to randomly sell it, you might as well ask a big number because, Donald Trump's son, Eric, has started a company that supposedly holds 500 million of ETH. He's doing something with financing. Financing and loaning and DeFi are pretty big. So you may not sell it and lose all your money, or you may sell it. That's the world you're in. That's where most domains are in. They have no implied value. You can't just sell them right now for $50, but they could sell for $7,000. So
they could eventually. And no one, or the non-dash, nothing's built on it, so you're not competing with that domain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's for sale for $50,000, but there's nothing built on the site, so you're not competing with it for SEO, anything like that.
Gotcha. What do you think about this next one, Julie?
Okay, so I have terrible vision, and so I was reading it from back here, and I didn't see the dash, and I was like, you dropped that? But this is an area I do not have of expertise. I think this is, I can't show it because...
How about the next one, though? How about the next one from Paired?
From Domain Investor. The go.com. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm intrigued. I like it. I like it a lot for not a bad price and for foreign companies.
Yeah. So what do you think when you see that little symbol over the O?
I mean, obviously it drops the value. But it could also be, you could work it into your branding to where your domain name is also your image kind of deal. Does that make sense?
I'm so proud of you, Julie.
Oh, that's a picture.
I'm so proud of you, Julie.
Give me a raise. No, kidding.
No, I think what's called international domain names are not even a niche. We would have to invent a new word to be the niche of a niche of a niche of a niche. And like anything, there's a couple good ones, and that means domainers have bought tens of thousands. And
I think that's two of the good ones.
what happens is I do think you should have dropped it. If you can't afford to hold it for 5 years, you should drop it. But what we're talking about here is when you get your new computer and it says, "Hi, welcome to your new computer. What language do you want your keyboard in?" And most people pick English. But say you were in Turkey or somewhere, and I'm not sure where this language is, you would pick Turkish. And you would be totally familiar with a keyboard that had Turkish letters and Turkish symbols, you know what I mean? And you would understand from your earliest education what maybe this O is with the little symbol above it and how that was different than an O. It was a completely different phonetic sound, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I see these a lot with soccer players, you know what I mean, where they'll be like, this person's name isn't, Ivan Perisic or something like that. It's Ivan Perisic. It's a different way if you say it authentically, and it's because it has this sound that's not the same as a Latin English sound. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what they said was, because the internet system has to be global, is they said, well, what are we going to do? We can't have a keyboard that understands all letters. So what are we going to do? So what they did was they came up with a translating system where they said, we're going to take each language, we're going to take all the characters in that language, and we're going to give them a special code. And what happens is when you have what's called an international domain name, they take this word, which we see as G and some type of O, and that actual domain name, if you had it in your account, would be xn -- and it would be some combination of numbers, 1234.com. And the whole internet would be able to translate xn -- 1234 to show up as that image, like you said, Julie, that word, you know what I mean? So that's called international domain names. So the reason that ICANN doesn't like them is you could buy bankofamerica.com, and instead of the first A being a real A, it could be like a Swahili language A that looks the same, but it's different. But you could make it look like people were clicking Bank of America, and you could have them give you their password and steal all their money.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of confusion, but in the rare cases, now the most popular international domain names are emoji domain names.
Because it's a universal. Sorry, people in the chat are asking how to submit names for appraisals. But
how do they submit names for appraisals before we get to emojis?
They drop it in the comments.
There you go. Just drop it in the comments. Thank you. So
we have a few. We have some that were dropped in the comments of the live, but not in like the live stream feed. So I'm gonna post them.
Okay, we got to finish with emojis. The thing about emojis is instead of it being GO, which you can't explain, the kids these days, like my daughter, the face that has the cheeks that are like this with the eye raised up. You don't have to say what that is, right? You just know what that is.
No. Sometimes. Know.
So when you see it and you type it and you click it, and because this is the reason I love emoji domain so much, an emoji keyboard is on my phone. I don't have a Turkish keyboard, an Egyptian hieroglyphics keyboard, a Polish keyboard, a Japanese keyboard, an Asian keyboard. You know what I mean? But I have an emoji keyboard, and people in Japan, and they use emoji domain, or they use IDNs the most because their letters are completely different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They even have IDN TLDs, but they also have emojis that are the same emojis as I have, and that's why I love it.
How do you do emoji domain? I know that whenever you first got into emoji domains, there was talk about the new Mac iOS systems coming out with emojis for the keyboard. How does that work? And then also, how does it work between the different Android and iOS emojis?
So the great thing about emojis is, if you think about it, even though everyone here sees the, does it say Emojipedia right now?
Yes.
Okay. Even though everyone here that's watching, they see our stream and they see on the top left Restream, right? And they know that those are those letters are, or whatever they see, whatever you see right now, every one of those words you see, that letter is being presented in a certain font. And whether or not your computer is seeing it as one font or another, or whether something we show you is one font or another, the basic letter underneath that font is the same. Does that make sense? That an A is an A, even a Times Roman A is the same as a Helvetica A, is the same as a whatever. Does that make sense?
Yes, but aren't there emojis that are available on iOS that aren't available on Android and vice versa?
No.
Okay. Do you know something about new kid technology that I don't?
Yes. So,
Okay.
like here, I can look up the fuel pump emoji. And it says the fuel pump is this emoji. And some of you see a red pump here, right? But hold on. All right. So every year Unicode makes a list of emojis. So this fuel pump was given out in 2009, along with skier, mountain, church, fountain, and these. So the Unicode, this company called Unicode, they decide every year what picture is an official emoji and which one isn't.
Mm-hmm. I see.
So if you take the soccer ball emoji, that isn't just an image of a soccer ball. That's actually a letter.
It's got its own code.
Right. Do you still see me Googling soccer ball? Okay. So I'm trying to find Emojipedia used to show me this, but they don't anymore. So let's see. Hold, please. It's worth it.
I believe in you.
All right. Well, I say it's worth it.
Soccer ball.
Soccer ball. It wasn't what I wanted. Okay. Come on. Give me the one. Eye emoji. That's a good one. All right. So that's the soccer ball. Here's the history. Now, if you look at this, see where it says emoji general information? See how the Apple soccer ball is just a little bit different than the Google Android. It is just a little bit different than the Twitter. And is a little different from the way it'll show on your Samsung. But every one of these, if you type in this into Apple and I read it on a Samsung and we click it, we're going to be dealing with the same letter, so to speak, even if it's in a different font.
Oh, nothing.
What's that?
Nothing.
So what that means is that this soccer ball, this picture right here, is actually, that is owned by Apple. But the idea of a soccer emoji is a letter that no one owns. So when I own the soccer ball emoji, which I do, you know what I mean, then let's see. So see, it says emoji code, emoji sort code, and I can copy it here and I can put it in a domain name, soccer ball, and see up here where it says, is it still sharing?
Loaded for a sec.
Yeah. So even though I said show me soccer ball,
it has a code.
And because it has a code, I can buy it, I can sell it, I can have it in GoDaddy, I can do all that stuff to it. You know what I mean?
Okay, we got another question from Luxury Brand.
All right, so let's do
we had this question before we got off on emojis about international domains. Do you think international domain names have or have, I think he means a bigger niche due to tokenization and authenticity vanity domains going up in value.
Yeah, it's been amazing for me as an owner of what you might call Web 2 emoji domain names, which work as real websites, that the prices that people have paid for Ethereum or Handshake or other emoji Web 3 domain names have been a lot higher, because it's just the power of saying, I'm the triple sunglasses. I can put that on my thing that I'm triple sunglasses.eth or whatever you call it, you know what I mean? And you own it. And people say, well, what are you going to do with it? You're like, I don't know, but you know what? I own it. I own it and you don't.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So this one came from, I'll have to relook at his name. 1 second. Sam. Okay. YILMAZ had a few names. He put them in the comments of the Twitter post, but not like the live stream. So that's why it took us so long to get to you, Sam. Hopefully you're still here. Avalanche.network.
Avalanche.network. So it's obviously a generic name, but if you're thinking that you're going to sell it to the owners of the Avalanche network, that's a tough one. They may say that they have a trademark. It's a crypto L2 coin, I think. Now, if Avalanche Network is a decentralized network, you might say, oh, they're okay with me owning the domain name. It's tough. Because the Avalanche crypto network may have grabbed the mind share around this word, it may actually scare away another buyer unless they were in a different space. Say I was building a network of real estate professionals, and for some reason I wanted to call us the Avalanche Network. Then I would use it. But if I was doing an NFT project, I may or may not want to do it. So it's tricky. You probably got it for a great introductory price, but the renewals are going to be steep, I think, like 40 or 50 bucks. I'm not sure. So I would say, while you own it, until you have to renew it, I would probably ask like $3,500. If you know you're not going to renew it, you may take a chance of emailing someone that's already using the word Avalanche and network and see if you can sell it for $2,000 to $3,000. But it's kind of hard to appraise. But as long as you own it, until you have to renew it, I would try to get $2,000 to $5,000. But I'm not sure I'd even pay the $60 to renew it, even though it's a great word. I mean, it is a great domain name. The same point, if you're like, hey, this is fun money, I just want to sell a name for 10 grand. Maybe it'll be this one. I'll spend $60 a year. That's why I say when I do appraisals, it's the motivation of the owner. If you need to get money out of this domain in the next 2 months, I would start aggressively marking it and showing it and sharing it and doing everything you can. Or say to yourself, it may or may not sell, but if it does, I might make 10 grand. And it's really your motivation. But if you're not going to be in it for, if you're not going to be in it for 5 years, then I would think about dropping it.
Cool.
All right. HowDoI.com. I really like this one because
I like it.
What do you think, Julie?
Also, there's a completely different niche for it. The DOI is something they use to catalog scientific papers and like peer-reviewed papers. Everything gets a DOI number. So it could be a fun name for something that's like how research, like an education platform. That's obviously a completely left field niche. HowDoI.com I think is adorable, and it's kind of like the wiki help without the Wikipedia of it. I think I like it, especially if it can be like marketed to influencers, and they're like, okay, this is where I'm putting all my tutorials or all my recipes for little bloggers. I like it, especially because it has an internet, like people who are using the internet would use it to put a product on the internet, not even trying to sell a physical product. It is all on the internet. Okay. I like it. Sorry.
Yeah, and you don't have to admit to anyone on the internet that you don't know how to do something when you Google, how do I do something?
Yeah, that is also
right. So that's why I think, it sets up well for research. Now, what are you going to get for it? So you may not sell it in 5 years, but if you are going to sell it, why not put 15,000 on it? Because maybe someone wants to build a completely awesome network with a 6-letter name. So again, it may not sell, but as long as it sells, go for it. But I would also maybe use AI to build an example of what it could be with some how do I videos. And then if you wanted to turn it into cash really fast, you could outbound it to companies who have how do I either in their meta tags, in their business plan, in their tagline. You know what I mean? Like our company's called Bippy Bippy, and it's a complete set of how-to videos or something. You know what I mean? And so I don't know if your motivation is to sell it now or to wait till later. If you wait, price it up. If you try to sell it now,
if you can find the buyer, it could be a great high value name. It's just gonna be finding the buyer.
But I'd renew it for 3 years. I'd renew it for 3 or 4 years now. So even if you run out of money, even though it's only $12, you never know. I would just know that you're in it for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to give it 3 years for someone to fall in love with my name.
I like it. Okay. CryptoDar.com.
I don't like it that much.
Learn.capital.
This is a tough one. So it's a good name, no doubt about it. And if someone wanted to learn about capital and they wanted to buy this name, I'd sell it for $2,999. On the other hand, as good as these words are, there are thousands of these names dropping every day. Or people are buying them for the promo rate of $3 to $10. And then when they get the renewal for $50, they're dropping them. So until you have to renew it, price it at $3,000 to $4,000. But there's a chance, as good as those words are, the new TLD program hasn't been marketed well to the entire world. So it's not like a million people know that there's a .capital to then know that they could be learn.capital. At the same point, all you need is one person to wake up and say these are the right, Julie?
All right. Well, that is all the appraisals we have for today. Great show. Great names out there. I think my favorite of the night is the howdoi.com. Do you have a favorite?
I think so. I would say that how do I was the number one name we looked at this week. It's the armpits,
it is the armpits
of this week.
Do you see we were on TikTok talking about armpits? So of all times I want to be on TikTok. I don't know if talking about armpits is one of them, but bye everybody.